Welcome to another episode of Garden Studios podcast. I'm Paul. I'm your host, and to my right is my lovely wife. Her name is Mattel.
Hello.
And today we have an amazing guest. She's actually my cousin.
Yes.
And joke, but not really joking. We love her. We met in Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry, and we're so excited to hear about what you have to say about our subject of the day. I think honestly, gonna be on a real note.
Yeah.
One time during class, you spoke to Chris. You asked a question. And I was like, "Dang, this girl a powerful woman."
Don't make me.
I
No, I'm so
remember.
serious.
I remember that too.
Yeah, I was
to be
like,
honest.
oh my gosh, like I want to get to know this person. Like I was like, oh
I'm
my
gonna
gosh,
cry
like
right
this
here.
is. No, I'll be honest. I was like, oh my gosh, like she's different.
Aw,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with no further ado, this is Jahdai.
Thank you. I was like, round of applause, please. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we're excited to hang out. Yeah, we're just hanging out. So usually when we start off our podcast, we start with the word of the day. Want to talk about that, babe?
Yes, so Word of the Day is a game that we play in all our podcasts where we use a word that is a word that we don't typically use. It can be a long word or like just like a funny sounding word. And the point is to use the word in the podcast like naturally in the context of whatever we're talking about. And whoever uses it first wins. And today's winner gets a $10 gift card to Black Rose Coffee.
Okay, can I just say something about Black Rose? Okay, a friend of mine told me not to share this place because it's a secret spot.
Oh.
But that person no longer lives in Reading, so I feel like it's a
you're
free for all.
clear, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Green light.
Dude, they're actually been voted the best coffee shop in Reading,
Wait, for real?
and nobody
I
knows
have
about this
no
place.
idea about this place.
So it's a drive-through coffee shop.
Family
we love
owned.
drive-thru.
Family owned, so it's like a
Yeah.
local business.
Okay.
Local
Come on,
business.
small businesses.
The twist is they have these specialty drinks. They put candy inside of them.
Candy.
Candy.
Like chocolate.
Oh,
Chocolate.
my God.
Now, it's like
Some of
it's-
them,
It's,
yeah.
I was like, it's not gonna be good, but dude, it's good.
Is it?
It's good. So, Black Rose, shout out. We love you guys. You guys should sponsor us so we can.
We'll
Black
drink
Rose.
some.
Every time we get a podcast.
Sponsor.
But yeah, so what's our word of the day, baby?
So today's word of the day is confabulate. It's a
One more time.
verb.
Sorry. one more time.
Confabulate.
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 It's right there, girl.
It's a verb.
Yo. Okay, my bad.
There it
It's
is.
to engage in conversation or to talk.
So what we're
Beautiful.
doing, we're confabulating.
Yes, basically. But we got to
Okay.
use it like...
No, it's fine. I wasn't trying to win
no,
already.
no. But yeah.
But
So so it starts now.
Now.
So whoever
Great.
uses it.
Okay.
wow.
Cool. So today we have a topic that I feel like I'm actually going through it. If I could be honest, right this moment, I'm feeling it.
What can
So,
it be?
babe, what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking about imposter tongue twister. Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, so for those who don't know what imposter syndrome is, it is a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success and almost feeling like a fraud. That's from Harvard Business Review. That's their definition.
Real.
Right. I feel like that today, especially.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
Yeah,
It's
how
just
dare
the-
you?
It was just the way you said, I'm going through. Sorry, go ahead.
But today we had our first Gardens in-person meeting of the school year.
Yeah.
70 people signed up, which is incredible.
It's literally triple of what we were expecting.
Yeah, we were expecting 20, 25.
Yeah.
And while I was speaking today to everyone, in the back of my mind, I'm like, who do you think you are?
Real.
What are you talking about? It's that feeling almost like, it's not the fear of being incapable, but it's the fear of being found out that I'm a
fraud?
I feel like everyone's like, it's about any day now. Everyone's gonna find out that I'm actually not capable of what I'm doing. So yeah, let's talk about that. I think while we were talking earlier, you were kind of putting it parallel to another idea, and I thought it was actually an interesting talking point.
I feel like sometimes like imposter syndrome can be mistaken as humility. Like thinking, like if you think highly of yourself, you're arrogant or you're boasting.
Yeah.
So like kind of putting yourself down is almost like, oh, you're humble.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do you like, What do you guys feel about that?
That's so funny because in my culture, so I'm Hispanic, and that's why we cousins.
Yeah.
And
I'm from Venezuela.
no, I'm from. Let me say.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like in our culture, especially like church culture, I've been taught like don't boast about yourself, or me saying like, oh, I can absolutely do that, or if somebody gives me a compliment and I don't go, well, to God be the glory, you know,
Yes.
then
To
it
God
wasn't
be
me,
the
it was
glory.
him,
Right.
you know, that I'm being prideful. And so there, I created this fear in me. So when I was like trying to figure out what imposter syndrome was, I was like, I don't know if I actually relate to that, because I think in my life I've felt like I can do things. It's been people that has told me that I can't, or hasn't given me the room to.
Yeah.
But when the way that you prompted it, like the question of like false humility, that for me is like, oh, that's what I've lived of. I'm actually going to deny claims of I can or I'm capable so that I seem humble. But in reality, false humility, or that, because that's what it is. It's false humility is
Yeah,
actually a
100%.
sign of pride.
Yes.
Yeah, it's rooted in pride. So I
Yeah.
definitely do think that. Yeah, that's kind of been my experience with with
For
it.
sure. I remember Bill speaking one time at school.
We love Bill.
I love
We love Bill.
Billy Johnson.
Billy
He's great.
Billy Bill.
But he was saying how there's two types of self. Whoa, I got country here. Two types of self.
Well, y'all, there's two
Hey,
types.
There you go. But he was saying how there's two types of self-centeredness, and one is very obvious, which is, and it looks like, look how great I am. I'm amazing. I don't make mistakes. I'm awesome. It should be about me. But the other type sneaks behind enemy lines, and it attacks us from places that we have blind spots at. So it could look like I'm not good enough. It could look like I'll never be that. I'll never be a good whatever I'm called for. And it's still about yourself.
Yeah.
It's funny enough. It's still about yourself. And so I think it's interesting. I think there's a parallel there between 100% like false humility.
Yeah.
And what are we talking about today?
Being found
Imposter
out.
syndrome. Yeah. And I think from our culture, the Asian culture, we think that being timid is being humble. And I'm finding out, like, from our times here in school, it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's a sign of pride, like you said. It's prideful. We're making it about our inadequacies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would we walk out of that, guys?
That's good.
I feel like for me, first year was very eye-opening in a sense of walking in confidence and like knowing my identity. Like I realized when I knew that people actually, like, I actually influenced people or impacted people's lives, I walked in a different way that I wasn't afraid to be myself. Like I wasn't afraid to be, I hate the word, but big.
Yeah.
Like just be me in all of who I am.
Why do you hate the word?
Huh?
Why do you
Because
hate the word?
it's not really like, I don't know. I feel like big is just like,
Does it feel like prideful?
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
What's wrong with big?
Right.
You
What's
chose-
wrong with
No.
being
You
big?
chose
dog?
you, girl. What's up?
know,
There's
no,
something I
big,
gotta
big.
know. You gotta let me know.
I'm so sorry.
what was I saying? But I guess like taking up space.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I thought, oh, if I took up space, it was prideful.
Yeah.
But first year when I figured out like that it's actually more impactful when I'm fully myself than stepping back, then I was okay to take up space. It wasn't like, oh, I can't do this because it's like gonna be about me. I realized like it's actually not about me. I'm actually impacting more people by doing things great or doing things in excellence.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, for sure.
Absolutely. I think for me, I think of two instances. Yes, there we go. Listen, I speak two languages and I translate all day, every day.
If
And
you start speaking in Spanish, I'm
That'll be,
gonna make up my own
we'll
Spanish.
translate it.
listen, Tagalog?
Yeah,
Is that what
there
you guys
you
speak?
go,
yeah.
It's pretty much like Spanish.
Yeah.
Half of it, yeah.
Yes, like you guys have the same words for a lot of things like chanclas,
Yes.
and that's the only one I can think of.
Caballo,
Mesa.
la mesa.
Yeah,
Baño.
exactly. So shout out to Spain for colonizing us. No, I'm just
Right.
kidding. Anyways,
Ronaldo. Oh, no, is he Portuguese or is he Spaniard? Ronaldo. Anyways, anyway.
Oh no.
Anyways, back. So I think of two instances that really, really changed my life when it comes to false humility or being afraid of taking up space. And so, for first year, a lot of my walk was that of like being afraid to speak up because not only did I not want to take up space, but I felt like I was going to be punished. But that's another story, another reason.
Yeah.
But it was like, why do I always have something to say? Because it's what it felt like. I was like, I always got something to say. I'm always talking. Like, people. And it's what...
Hey, motorcycle, chill.
Right. He's like, I want to be heard. You're heard, you're seen, covered in love. My God. Hey. But there was this thing of like... Oh, man, I lost my train of thought. Well, anyways, besides the point. So... because people would tell me that in my life. Like, oh, you always got something to say. You always talking. Like, be quiet, you know? So it created this insecurity of like, I need to not talk. I need to not say my mind and all that. But also, why do I always think I have the answer? Because that's what it felt like. Like, me wanting to talk all the time felt like I always thought I had the answer. But in reality, it was just like, I was just trying to be helpful. It was like that pastoral heart of like, let me help you. Let me give you advice, you know? But two things that really changed my life was one, Chris always talks about, especially in first year, about a painting, right? And you're looking at a painting, and if you insult the painting, are you insulting the painting or are you insulting the painter?
Yeah.
That's good, yeah.
And so that absolutely changed my life because I'm like, oh, actually negative self-talk and me limiting myself is not limiting myself. I wasn't created. Like, I didn't create myself.
Right.
I didn't make Jahdai. Like,
Right.
I didn't put my personality in me. I didn't get to, like, pick and choose what I got to be or who I got to be or, like, my personality. And so me insulting myself and me trying to limit myself is actually limiting God and who he created me to be.
That's
because
good.
I'm a firm believer that when Jesus created us, he looked and was like, what is needed? Like, what does the church need? What does the world need? How do I want to operate? How do I want to impact these group of people? And for me to do that, I have to create a person that looks like this or acts like this or has this personality trait. So for me to deny like parts of my personality is to deny what God really created me for. And so that really changed my life. And then I remember last year in second year, I had this really impactful moment in my activation where somebody was praying for me and they were like, I see that you actually feel shamed because you like attention. Like you like to be the center of attention. And I was like, I mean, low key, not really. Like sometimes I do, like I like talking and I like making people laugh, but it doesn't always mean like I love to be the center of attention all the time.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not the spotlight doesn't scare me kind of thing.
Right.
And he was like, but actually that's a shame that's not from God, because if God created you for something, you're going to actually crave that. So God created you to be the center of attention. Like he created you for attention and to be an influence. And so of course you're going to want that. You're going to crave that. Yeah. And it's actually not evil for you to crave attention. And I was just like, it absolutely it absolutely changed my life, because I was like, oh, actually me wanting attention or me wanting to speak up or me like having these things is actually part of God's calling for my life. And so I think that is kind of what broke the false humility of like, well, if I'm not speaking up, and it's the same thing you say of you're not going to change people's lives. Like, what are we really here for? Like, you know, school per se, like what are we actually going after in life? If we're going after like ministry and all that stuff, at the end of the day, the heart of it is to love God and to love people. And how are you going to love people if you don't actually speak up, if you don't actually love them? How are you going to help people get out of their circumstances if you don't actually say something? You know, and so we, like you said, we do impact people and change people more by speaking up than by being like, well, I'm just gonna sit back here, which is why it translates into like being prideful and all that stuff. But yeah, that was kind of like the two moments that really absolutely changed my life when it came to that.
No, that's powerful. So I'm gonna take imposter syndrome on a different angle. I'm gonna tell a story.
Go ahead.
So when it's 2019 and we go to Heaven Come conference in LA. This woman named Jamila Page, who was back then a second year student. Now Jamila is a pastor at school at BSSM.
And Bethel Church.
She gives me a prophetic word. She goes, she says, once you go back to New Jersey, you're going to get offered a job. And it's a creative job. You should take it. It's from the Lord. I go back and I get a phone call from this mega church. They have like 10,000 members. Crazy. They say, hey, we have an opening for a worship leader position. We'd like to audition you. Are you interested? Forgetting everything about what Jamila said, I go, thank you so much for the opportunity. I don't feel the Lord on it. And I hang up. That night, I remember everything Jamila said. And I call them back frantically. I go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Someone gave me this word, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, long story short, the next Monday, I was in their office crying because I didn't want to be there. But I feel like the Lord wanted me to be there. Yeah. And so they hired me as one of their worship leaders. I was so incapable to do what they were wanting me to do. They wanted me to run an entire campus. They have 8 campuses. They wanted me to run the worship for one entire campus. They wanted me, there was like 20 to 30 people that I had to lead. I've never done that before. I had to do all the Ableton stuff, which are tracks. I didn't know people use that. No, and I don't know how to use the software. And so when I first came into it, I was so overwhelmed. I was a fraud. I got hired. I don't know what I'm doing. But here's the thing. I stayed there for 1 year and then COVID hit and we moved here to Reading. But within that 1 year, I've learned more and I've grown more in ministry more than I had grown in the last 10 years prior to that point. So I've been in the worship team since I was 13. I learned more in that 1 year than from ages 13 to 25, which is crazy. So here's my theory. I feel as though moments when there's legitimate imposter syndrome, where it's actually could be true, what if it's actually an invitation for growth? What if, we talk about in school about Kairos moments? What if in those moments of feeling, oh my gosh, what the heck am I gonna do? I'm not, this is way past my pay grade. What if that's actually an invitation from God to bring us to a place that we've never thought of in such a short amount of time? There was this person on Facebook, how you just watch random videos. Right. And this, I think he was, anyways, it doesn't matter. But he was saying how lobsters, in order for them, once they start feeling that tightness in their shell, that's a time when they know it's time for the new shell. That's when they start molting. And I feel like that feeling of uncomfortableness where, oh my gosh, like this doesn't fit me. This doesn't fit me. This doesn't feel right. I'm an imposter. I feel like if we steward those places right, if we steward those seasons in our life right, it's actually a launching point to something so much bigger than what we think we could ever be. So, yeah, what do you guys think on that? Is that false doctrine?
Blasphemy.
Right.
I guess you feel more like instead of imposter syndrome, I think it's like almost feeling like you're saying, like an imposter, like
yeah, like feeling inadequate.
Yeah, feeling inadequate.
Yeah. Which at that moment I really was though. I didn't know anything.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? What's up, guys?
No, I want her to finish her thought because I can talk.
But I think if you're in a place where you're comfortable, something's wrong.
Yes.
Because that means you're not growing or you're not allowing yourself to grow. Like
this is good, babe.
That we should always position ourselves to almost be in a place like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like to be honest, with Garden Studios, when we started off, I did not expect what it is now. But if I'm gonna be honest, there's so many days where both of us are like, what are we doing? Yeah. You know? Today, like honestly, our event, we were just like I was like, what are we supposed to do? Yeah. But I feel like that if you position yourself in that place, it allows God to be like, you rely on God. Yeah. Like you're like, that's true. This is actually like not just me. Like I can't do it on my own because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Yeah. Like you rely on like, okay, God, like you need to help me, and he's faithful and he will like push you and you can take a step further. But then there's always more. Like there's never a place where you can be. He never wants us to be like stagnant. Like I know what it feels like to be in a place where you're stagnant. Back in my lifestyle before, like stable job, had everything that people think that like is a successful life. Yeah. But to be honest, I wasn't fully happy. Right. But now I'm in a place where I'm always uncomfortable because I don't know what is going on. But I feel like there's actually life. Like I actually feel like I'm actually living. So
that's really good.
Yeah, I think just positioning yourself to be in that place. I wouldn't consider it imposter syndrome, but I would say It's more of like, how would you say this?
Feeling inadequate, which is...
Yeah, feeling inadequate.
It
Yeah.
It is imposter syndrome. Yeah.
I guess you can say that.
I can see your wheels are turning in your head.
She's just... Yeah. I think what you're trying to say is just like feeling like uncomfortable. Not necessarily like you're being an imposter, but you actually just feel uncomfortable because of the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that you're making a really, really good point. But so for me, I almost just kind of want to... Okay, so I want to challenge the thought a little bit.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, why do we... The reason why we feel like a fraud is because we think everyone else has it together. Right? And in reality, like, if we think about it, and let's just be super honest, none of us know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely no one. Yesterday, I was 19 years old. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like yesterday I was 14, living my life, or I was 6, and my mom was giving me food, and now all of a sudden I'm an adult. Yeah. And I need to make adult decisions. And then you look around, and you think every other person your age has it together, when in reality... no one knows what they're doing. Like, really. I mean, not that we're like absolutely clueless, but in reality, I just feel like no one actually really does, or everyone's just really putting themselves out there. Yeah. And then imposter syndrome can also show up in the way of, because you feel like you don't know, you double work yourself. So you're working double as hard as everyone else to learn, or to rather like catch up to everyone else. And I feel like this happened to me a lot when I first left high school, because I was still an illegal immigrant in this country. And so I couldn't go.
I was there, girl.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I drove without a license for too long.
Shout out to ICE.
right. What up? I'm a resident now. You can't take me. Yeah. But
what's your address?
You better stop. I'm applying for my citizenship, so they can't kick me out. Yeah. But when I graduated high school, when everyone else is moving on to college and everyone else was moving on to like, you know, big girl, big boy jobs, I was stuck because I couldn't work. I couldn't go to school. You know, I found a place that would pay me cash, and I became a janitor. And so it was super embarrassing because it was like one of the biggest like bakeries in my city at that time. And so I had all my friends from high school coming in talking about college and all these things. And here I am like cleaning toilets, you know, which is nothing wrong, like nothing wrong with cleaning toilets. But when you're fresh out of high school and you're seeing that, it's super humbling and you get like really frustrated. And so for the next couple years, like in my early 20s, I saw my friends graduating high school. I mean, not high school, graduating college, like going to medical school, or buying a house, or getting married, having children, like all these things. And I just felt super inadequate in life. I was like, man, I need to like catch up. I need to do this. And it's also very East Coast. Like, we're also always on the hustle. We're always on to the next thing, trying to be a billionaire, trying to be an influencer, all the things, which is nothing wrong with that. But with all that to say, I think once I got into my mid-20s, I kind of started looking back and realizing, I'm like, yeah, that's really great that you have a degree, or that's really great that you have that, but you still haven't started life, kind of thing, you know? And I'm not, hear me, like, I'm not dogging where they're at, or trying to come against where they're at, or picking at it. But what I'm saying is, the best place to be is exactly where God has placed you to be. Like, it's not about looking to the right or to the left, but it's about focusing where you're at. Yeah, it may have been true that you may not have had the skill set to do the practicals of where you were at, but you still had the mindset, and you still had the personality that was needed to do it. And so I'm just like beyond questioning where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, I think I just grew tired of that, of being like, well, what if I'm not? No, they hired me for a reason, and maybe it's just I don't see it, and that's okay if you don't see it. But the skill set you can learn. Like, somebody before you probably didn't know how to do it either, and that can be learned. Like, if it's something that I can learn, I'm gonna learn it. And when you hired me, you knew I didn't know how to. Nah, unless you lied on your resume, that's something else. No, I'm just kidding. But even then, like, you can always learn. And that's what we all do. Somebody at some point had to learn to do that too. And now they're a CEO. Like, somebody at some point, how have I had my own business for 6 years? I couldn't tell you. Literally, it's been just trial and error, hitting myself against walls. Like, how am I as good as I am now with nails? It's literally trying so many different products, having clients that their nail falls off 2 days later.
Real quick, your nails are all FLEEK right now.
I know. I have to get my nails. I haven't done my nails in.
So much. My Instagram is. Seriously. Okay, so plug in. My Instagram is Jahdai Beauty. Hit me up if you want to get your nails did. If you're in. Do y'all Redding, California? Okay, I was like, I don't know if y'all don't tell people where y'all at. Their addresses. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
But yeah, so it's all about trial and error.
Right.
And so I'm past like, so I guess my challenge is kind of like, is anyone really adequate? Like,
Right,
is
for
anyone
sure.
actually super prepared?
Right.
Obviously, there's areas like the medical field and all that kind of stuff that you
have
gotta
to.
study. You gotta know.
Imagine you're getting opened up.
Right.
The doctor's like,
I don't know what I'm
I
doing.
feel inadequate.
Yeah. But you know what? In reality, even everyone like started off. That's why in the
Right.
medical field, you have your, what's that called? Your
Residency.
You do your hours?
Residency.
your residency,
Yeah.
right? Like you know, Grey's Anatomy and all that stuff. Like,
Hey, half my aunts is in the medical field.
You know what I'm
we
saying?
know this.
they like have a period where they're working in a hospital, but
Right.
they're not a full blown doctor by themselves yet.
Right.
They got a big boy that been doing it for years, or a big girl that been doing it for years. You know what I'm saying? And teaching them and helping them and being in, like, let's say they're a surgeon, being in the operating room with
Right.
them, and they're not just full blown letting them do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is in life. Like, nobody's just gonna wake up one day and be like, oh my gosh, I got this. Like,
Right.
I have you just got to practice it and you just got to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Go with it. You'll have seasons of, not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah,
Facts.
I think for me, I feel like there's something that I noticed, like, as you were talking, like, I feel like comparison is kind of a hindering point. Like, when you feel like inadequate, you're kind of comparing stuff like, oh, if somebody else can do it better than I can.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that is like something we kind of got to keep our eye open for, like,
For
comparing ourselves with other people.
Absolutely.
100%.
Nobody has the same fingerprint. Like, and I mean that, like, even personality or impact. Like, there's 1,000, like, for example, singing, right? I didn't consider myself a singer until probably a couple
By the
weeks
way,
ago.
Jahdai sang.
I remember
2 times.
she was sitting
it
right
was
here.
in this living room
Uh-huh.
that the Lord touched me.
You wrote
No,
your
but it
song
was here
girl.
where I wrote my
Yeah.
first song, And for years, I was like, oh, I'm not. People would be like, oh, you sing? And I'd be like, well, literally, I'd be like, well, it depends. Everybody has different opinions, or it depends on the day, or all these kind of, like, elusive answers,
Right.
And in the reality is, like, I may not be technically the best person in the room, but nobody sounds like me. They just don't.
Period.
And it's the same thing of, like, yes, there's 1,001 millions of nail techs all around the world, but nobody has the same touch as me.
Yeah.
Or nobody has the same person. I can make the same joke as you, and I'm going to deliver it differently. Why?
Right.
Because we're just different people,
100%.
And so, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No,
we all
that's-
different.
That's great. I feel like before we move on to our next segment, let's summarize that. But before we do, Paul felt the same way. He felt like there's areas where he felt weak at, and he said he would actually boast in his weakness, because in his weakness, that's where the Lord is made strong. And I feel like in our moments of weaknesses, in our moments that we feel like we're imposters, in that moments we feel inadequate, it's an invitation to allow God to step in and allow him to be strong when we're feeling weak. So if you're out there and you don't know what the heck you're doing in life, whether you're a musician, whether you're hopefully not in the medical field, right? But whatever it is you're doing, that's an invitation that's an opportunity to invite God in and to actually fill in your weaknesses. And yeah.
Come on, Pastor.
Any final thoughts, y'all's?
I just love to conjugate with you guys.
It's confabulation.
Oh!
It's conjugate.
Huh? Conjugate? I
It's
don't know.
a
It sounds like a
gather.
dance.
I think it's like
I still like
things together.
Conjugate.
I felt
watching
it
me
coming.
sound
Nice.
weird.
That was a nice try.
Dang.
But I think that we confabulated really well
No,
today.
you better stop. We gotta do it again. You can't win your own giveaway. No, just kidding. I'll give you that one.
But
I'm looking up conjugate.
conjugate.
I think it's like to
We'll
gather.
use that for our next one. But hey, listen, there was something that you said about you might not have the skills, but you have the right personality or something. Which is, I don't want to open it today, but this could be for another episode.
Right.
About
You say you want me
anointing
back?
versus appointing.
Oh, shut. Hey! Ha! I feel the weight. I'm about to throw my shoe at
Because
you.
David, he was anointed.
Yes, he was.
on the field.
My God.
But he was appointed 20 years later.
My God.
But that's for another episode, guys.
That's
You don't feel the Lord?
yeah.
I love her. She's like,
I feel it. Yeah, she's like, yeah.
She's
It's
like,
great.
yeah,
Can
yeah,
you shut
babe.
up now?
That's great.
But anyways, imposter syndrome, it can actually be a great thing. Invite the Lord in and he'll fill in your strength. For our next segment, we have viewer questions. This is where we have viewers send in questions, usually through Instagram, and then we choose one, and then we just kind of take turns to quickly go through it, and then our challenge at the end. What's our viewer question of the day, baby?
So for viewer question, we have, his name is Jeremy M. He's 35 from LA. And he said, I work in production and I get a lot of favor from my boss. It's pretty obvious by the way she treats me that I'm one of her favorites in the department. For the most part, I usually get more opportunities than my other coworkers. It honestly gets uncomfortable at times, although I'm grateful for the opportunities. Should I communicate to her how uncomfortable her favoritism makes me feel, or should I keep quiet? Kind of goes with what we're talking about today.
Can I say something? Ride that wave, boy.
Right.
It ain't always gonna be there. No, but so back in when we were in first year, I'm not gonna name the pastor, but our pastor freaking loved us, and he or she was so obvious about it. He or she would literally go up to our faces and say, with people around us, you guys are my favorite. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, thank you. But like, what about Greg? Like, you never say hi to Greg. What about
Greg?
What about Mordecai? Mordecai's over there with his mullet. No one says hi to him. And so the entire year, I was like, I was really battling with it. So I could totally relate. And now I actually confronted my pastor about it.
Oh.
And I asked him, hey, listen, I know we're your favorites. Thank you. Loving it. But what about Mordecai and Greg? And he goes,
Or she.
He or she goes, Paul, there's favor over your life because you're going to need it. You see, not everyone gets the favor over their life, certain favors over their lives because they don't need it for their journey.
Wow, I feel the Lord.
And so if you're having favor in a season or in an environment, it's because where you're going, you're going to need those shoes, boy. And so don't try to fight it. If the Lord's trying to give you favor, it's because you need it to where you're going. Some people, they don't need it because they're doing something else. Maybe the favor is somewhere else. But for you in that department, there's favor there. You're going to need it. So I would say ride that wave. Be grateful. Stay in that place where you're looking out for people, because that's amazing that you're looking out for people. I think there's actually a pastoral calling there, or a pastoral heart.
Prophesy out here.
Prophesy. But I love your heart, and I would say just keep going with it. Keep that thankful heart. That's my advice for Jeremy, right?
Jeremy.
There you go.
That's good, Paul. You want to go, Mattel?
You were the favorite. You were one of the favorites too.
You could go
anyways.
first.
I could go first?
Yes.
Okay. What was the question? Oh, no. Okay, sorry. I blanked. My bad, Jeremy. I think that's really good. That really spoke to me.
But I disagree with
But you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, that was actually really good. It spoke to me. Because I think I'm similar to Jeremy. Like, or you guys too. Like, I'm just a person who tends to have favor. And I never really understood that until this year. Of like, oh, actually, people really like me. And I'm really highlighted to people around me for multiple reasons. And again, it hits like the false humility. Like, listen, favor ain't fair, y'all. Like, honestly, it's just not. And it's not even like, I think it even becomes prideful when we're like, why do we have favor? And we think it's because of the things we do or what we offer. Favor, it's literally just because it's the Lord wanting to highlight you in that season. And so I would say, first, ask yourself, why are you uncomfortable? You know, what about it makes you uncomfortable? Is it because you don't think you're worthy of it? Or is it because everyone else's opinions of you? And if it's either of those, I will encourage you to invite the Lord in there and actually surrender that, because you're not called to care how people like think about you in that way. Like, yes, we're called to lift each other up, love each other. But at the end of the day, when people are uncomfortable or upset at you, 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. It has to do with them being upset they don't have the favor, or them feeling like they're not being seen, or them feeling like X, Y, and Z. And again, it has nothing to do with you. Yeah. So I would encourage you to actually step into that and ask God, is there something specific you're asking of me in this season that you're allowing me to have this favor? Like how you said, like, are you asking me to start something, move something, maybe partner with my boss in something, or maybe you're moving me somewhere else. And I'm going to, like how you said, I'm going to actually need this favor. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say Oh my gosh, your bags are falling.
That's all right.
It's the Lord.
I
No,
know.
just kidding.
It's the weight of his glory. Yeah.
That's good. But yeah, I would say first, I wouldn't encourage you to talk to your boss. I would encourage you to actually talk to the Lord and find the root of why you're feeling that way, and then invite him in to actually step into the fullness of who he's called you to be, which is somebody of influence and somebody with favor. Favors, like, it opens so many doors, not just for you, but even your team or your coworkers or the people around you. And right now you're just like, oh, I'm uncomfortable because it's me. Maybe gather up the people around you and bring favor to those around you as well. I would say that's another way to do that.
That's a good word, cuz.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Tithing. No, I'm just kidding.
I agree with like both of you guys are saying. Another thing that I want to add though
Which one was
is
better though?
Yeah, you would have
they're
stopped.
both good. I said no comparison.
Come on.
Oh, sorry. No comparison. I was testing it. You see?
Yeah,
That's all it was.
But I was gonna say like another thing to show is like I wouldn't be surprised if you have the Lord with you. Favor follows, and you shouldn't be apologetic for that at all.
Sorry, you better preach, Mattel.
Hey, are we doing tithes and offering after this?
Right.
No, but it's true. Like what we talk about a lot is people are drawn to you because of the Lord, and it's like excellence is what you can use that to have a testimony, and you can use your like that favor to actually share the word of God, not through just preaching, but by your lifestyle, and just shows that when you're with God, like favor follows. And yeah, I would say take that opportunity, take that favor, and use it to actually show God's glory to other people.
Let's go.
That's good.
That's great stuff. So we love you, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
More power to you, brother.
Production. I'm saying, could use it. Make some movies.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think that.
Give us a
I
shout
think
out.
it's movies. I don't know. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Might be music production. My bad.
If it's music, no,
Can you sign me?
no, I'm just kidding.
But with that being said, we're gonna move on to our last segment, which is
The 1 minute haiku challenge.
Oh, no.
1 minute haiku challenge.
Wait.
So
Wait.
you know what a haiku is?
Wait, I got all of a sudden. It's 575, right?
575.
Yeah, you got
But
it.
what is it? Syllables? Vowels?
Syllables.
No?
Syllables.
What are
Yeah.
syllables?
So Jahdai is Jahdai. That's 2 syllables. Right? So you create
Isn't it 3? Jahdai.
Jahdai. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so now I know. It's Jahdai.
Well, don't call me Jahdai, but
Right.
I have 3. Isn't it by noun?
No,
I'm
no,
so
no.
confused.
It's by
No, it's by syllables.
Syllables.
It's
So
like
dog is dog.
dog is one syllable.
Washington,
A-E-I-O-U,
Washington.
right?
No, that's vowels. Syllables is like
That's
how
how
many
it sounds,
times.
yeah.
Yo, I sound dumb. I promise y'all I'm smart.
No, she's
No,
smart.
she's smart.
She's smart. Promise.
It's like computer is 3. Computer.
Okay, bet.
So haiku, it doesn't have to rhyme. It just has to be 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables.
575.
Yeah. So
I'm
today,
scared. What's the point of the? I mean, like, is there a theme to our haiku?
there
There
is.
is.
Oh.
So today,
No.
one of my favorite creatives in Hollywood, he's kind of going off right now on Twitter, but I'm praying for him. We're gonna do an haiku, and we're gonna tag him for Kanye.
Oh, he going off? What are you going off about?
He's going off on. Well, anyway, I don't want gossip.
Okay, bet.
But is it gossip if it's on Twitter? You
It
know what I'm saying?
ain't. It's public knowledge.
But so we're gonna do a haiku for only 60 seconds, girl.
For Kanye?
For Kanye.
This is a lot of pressure. I'm sweating.
Great.
I don't think I'm a...
Do
Okay.
you feel the imposter
No.
syndrome?
No.
You feel inadequacies.
Yes!
Well, let the
Yes, Master!
Let the Lord fill in your
My
weakness.
God, shut.
All right, so
Ready?
okay, hold on. Let me get my mind together.
Yeah, okay. Ready? 1 minute starts. 3, 2, 1, go.
I don't know how to spell.
not
Time is
done.
up. Put down your
I'm
pens.
not done.
Done or not. Okay.
I got 2 lines.
I got 2 things.
It's so Christian too. I hate
Is
it.
it? Calling him back to his identity.
My God.
Okay, so here's mine.
Sorry. It's the first line of Mateo's. It got me. Okay, sorry.
Okay, whether you're finished or not, just we're just gonna give. Well, okay, you're gonna be excited about yours. Should she go first? Is it that? Okay, we'll do you last because it's that good.
I'm sweating.
I'm sweating.
Okay, here's mine. This for you, Kanye. Listen up.
I feel like I'm a
Should I put a beat over this?
church.
Mine, don't.
Sorry,
I
I
can't tell if
can't.
that was a beat or if an asthma attack.
A little bit of both. Let's be
A
real.
little bit of each. Okay, here we go. Yeezy, I love you. You are so very creative. Hold on.
It's three.
Hold on. You're so very creative. 7.
Creative.
Yeah. You're so very creative. Okay.
I think he
Kanye,
liked with me.
you are cool.
You are cool.
Just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, who's going next?
Mine's. I'm gonna leave yours for last. Okay, mine goes. Kanye West is this for you, dog. The Lord loves you, sir. Right? That's fine.
The Lord loves you, sir. Yep.
Breathe him in
Breathe him in.
and let it go.
Let it go. Ooh, that's good. Okay.
And that's it. That's all I got.
Beautiful. Let's
It's
help her
because
finish it.
I couldn't figure out how
Just
to spell
repeat the
breathe.
last line. What you spell? That's
Stop.
a bread, girl.
No, it don't. No, it don't.
That's
what I
good though.
got.
That's beautiful.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let's hear it, babe.
I love you, Mateo.
You are Kanye West.
Okay,
In
great.
case you forgot.
What you doing right? I was supposed to be. What are you doing right now?
You trying to holler at him?
No. I'm weak.
Okay, keep going. I'm upset. Can I just say something? I'm already upset,
You already. I'm so sorry.
but we're almost done, so let's just keep going.
The last one I only got your.
Okay.
I didn't get to finish.
You can't do your in a haiku. It's you are.
Like you can't do.
No,
You can't?
No.
I didn't know that. You Japanese girl.
You are. So you are.
I
There you
won
go.
an award for my haikus in elementary
that's-
school.
Did you really?
I did actually.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
did, but I can't remember.
Oh, I
what
could
syllables
put you better than
Work.
that.
You better.
Better than that.
Beautiful. Well, there you go, Kanye. We love you. We believe in you. We think you're amazing.
Breathe him in and let it go.
And with that being said, can you give us your Instagram again, just for our listeners?
Oh, well, I have 2.
There you go.
So
Okay.
we're going to shamelessly plug both.
Beautiful.
So my nail account is at Jahdai, which is spelled, ready? I'm going to give you some time. Take a pencil and pen out.
There we go.
All right. It's Jahdai. So my nail one is Jahdai Beauty. And my personal, with all my makeup looks, is Jahdai Vina, which is Vina. So nails and beauty, Jahdai Beauty. Personal, Jahdai Vina. Follow me.
Beautiful. And with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Jahdai, thanks for accompanying us
having
today.
me.
Of
Guys,
course.
sorry, I know we're leaving, but I just need y'all to know that this was my dream to be on a podcast. And so just thank you. It really was. I've always wanted to be on one. So thank you guys for creating such a space that people get to live their dreams.
We love you, girl.
Love you. Thanks for joining.
And with that being said, like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
And make sure you confabulate with your friends.
She did it. Bing. She got that.
She got
Not
it.
just,
Toodles.
not just decoration. We are transformation. Transformation. In the beginning was a garden.
This is Garden Studios. Welcome home.